lectures. And before I get into this morning's lecture, which the topic is going to be how to write a successful business goal, I just want to take a moment to thank all of my supporters and everyone for supporting my channel. You know, this channel here would not be possible without all of my supporters, everyone. And make sure you, if you are watching this live stream or you're watching the replay, you know, make sure to post it on your community wall. This is going to be valuable information. So with that being said, let's get on down to today's very important lecture, which is how to write a successful business goal. You know, if the audience is aware, this topic with what I'm talking about ties directly into the primary services that I provide as a professional business coach for people who want to hire me to develop their strategic business plan. And I'm going to make this easy because there is a specific business goal. You know, if I'm a business coach, I got to make sure that I'm staying on point with developing my own strategic business goal. And I tell anyone, you got to have a business plan. So I'm going to literally present a particular goal that I've been working on. I started on this strategic business goal January of 2025. And that goal is, and I tell anybody, I'm literally going to use my own, present my own business goal that I have documented on my strategic business plan. And on the far left of my business plan, I have the goal clearly written down that I wrote January 1st of 2025, which is the goal is to provide SAP DOT services to get that service up and running. And I'm going to literally explain what SAP DOT is. In order to provide those services, SAP is a substance abuse professional who has a very high credential, where I do have that credential, and to provide substance abuse DOT return to duty services. That service is regulated by the Department of Transportation under the federal guidelines. And a DOT federal government defines a substance abuse professional at this level is a person who evaluates employees who have violated a Department of Transportation drug and alcohol regulation, and make recommendations concerning education, treatment, follow-up testing, and aftercare. In order to become a SAP substance abuse professional at this level, you need to have certain credentials, possess specific knowledge, and receive training, and also achieving a passing score on an examination. You must meet all of these requirements before you can perform SAP evaluations for individuals who have failed a drug screen who performs a safety sensitive position. And safety position is individuals who drive trucks, planes, trains, any of those major transportation modes. When they fail a drug screen, they are removed from that safety sensitive function, and they have to be evaluated by someone who holds that specific credential to do that. I've done that in the past under my company for years, and I phased it out, but now I'm bringing it back in. And in addition to having that specific SAP credential, you have to already be licensed. I'm 21 years master's post license. I retired out of the field September 2023, but I still maintain all my credentials. And in addition to having all that, I still have to go in and get that DOT recognized qualifications. I literally had to go through the re-credentialing for that covenant piece this year. So I just kind of wanted to give you a bite drop in regards to that service, because that's a goal, to provide substance abuse DOT services, get that up and running. And I started that goal January of 2025. And many of the measurable objectives I had to do, that Marie Holiday had to do, I got these measurable objectives indicated in the middle of my strategic business plan. And I was still in Florida in January 2025, getting ready to exit out, but I started working on these objectives. And one of those powerful objectives I had to do is I had to complete the qualification training. No matter if I was already licensed under the DOT guidelines, that was stringent training and testing. I had to pass a test in order to get that credential. And I got that credential conferred February 20th, 2025. So whenever you have a measurable objective, you always want to give it a due date. And the due date I had on my strategic business plan was to have that exam passed by February the 20th, 2025. And I actually got it conferred February 15, 2025. And I had to go in as an expert and do more training. I had to be tested at the federal level. I had to present my qualifying credentials, my licensure and everything in order to qualify to do this, people. So that goal was achieved February 2025 in terms of getting that credential at that level reinstated. Another goal I had to do to get this ready was I had to set up my files and I have a master copy of, and I remember setting these files up. I had to set up my applicable files, and one of those files I had to set up is a statement of understanding. So when clients get in front of me, I'm going to give them this statement of understanding and informed consent, outlining in terms of this is what I'm going to do. You know, you've been referred to me by your employer. You have been removed from the safety sensitive position. I'm going to evaluate you and make appropriate referral and recommendation. So they have to have this informed consent. This document is 4 pages long. I got it in a Word document. I got a hard copy. Trust me, people, this was a lot of work. It took me a lot of work creating these legal documents that ties into the DOT federal regulations. Because remember, I've done this before in the past for over 10 years. I had to just go back in and re-credential to order to do this in 2025. And there have been a lot of changes. So this powerful document is what also I'm going to go over with that referred client. It's a 4-page document. We're going to both sign, which is the most important document I had to create was my contract. Yeah, my contract for service, where it clearly outlines in terms of what my fees are, what I'm going to do, your responsibility. This contract is a 5-page document, people, that ties into the federal regulations in terms of outlining my responsibilities, the fees, if certain behaviors you do, if you breach this contract, I will close this file and alert your employer that you're in violation of the federal guidelines. This here, I tell anybody who is aware of this type of work or any kind of work, if you are providing any type of service, people, and especially a service that you're taking money from somebody, you need to enter into a contractual agreement. So I got that 5-page contract ready, and I had to create this document and make sure the language was in line with the DOT federal guidelines, those rules and regulations. So the contract, and I spent days creating this contract. It's in hard copy, it's in Word document, it's clearly outlining my fees. And to make a long story short, when a person get in front of me for this service, this is an $800 service, people, bottom line. Another document I had to create, which ties into, because I literally got on my strategic plan to set up my files, meaning those documents. And I got everything done March the 16th. And I started this goal in January. Then to give you an idea on the work behind the scene, to restart my SAP DOT services, I started this goal in January January 1st of 2025, and just got done setting up the files March 16th, 2025. Another legal document I had to create, which is a 2-page document, is the SAP DOT return to duty process intake form. Yeah, this is an intake form where you're going to put all your information, your employer name, your employer address, the reason for the assessment, rather you either fail a drug screen, an alcohol test, or a refusal. According to DOT regulations, a refusal is also considered a positive. So I want to know, this is the intake form, which is a 2-page form that will become a part of the file, and for anybody who gets in front of me, because understand, rural, because I'm now qualified to do this, and I'm going to talk about this later in this presentation, that now my name has been entered into the national database as a qualified substance abuse professional who can do these evaluations for anyone who fails a drug screen who performs a safe, sensitive position. So my name can be pulled up by any employee in the rural on providing services in Georgia. So it's in that federal database. My name is now in that national database. I had to present all my credentials and etc. So when a person gets in front of me, they have already been removed from the safety sensitive position. They have been referred by their employer to come to someone with these credentials to become eligible to return back to the safety sensitive position, meaning their job and their livelihood. Real talk, people. At this level, anyone with these type of credentials, name don't just drop out the sky. No, you have failed a drug screen, you have been removed from your job, that safety sensitive position, and you have been referred by your employer to go see Marie Holiday or anyone else who holds those credentials to get down to business. Another document I had to create, all of these documents, people, are in hard copy, PDF form, or Word document version. So I did many versions of these documents, which took a lot of time. Another powerful document that I had to complete is my consultation service notes. So when communicate with the medical review officer or communicate with the employer, I'm going to document that I communicated with that medical review officer or the employer or the treatment provider in relation to getting that person eligible to return back to the safety sensitive position. So this is a document that I had to create as part of my master file. Once I've done my evaluation, I have to generate a initial, which is another document, an initial SAP evaluation report. This initial report will be submitted to the employer. This initial certain information will be entered into the federal database. So DOT will know that this person got this initial evaluation. So this is another legal document. Once that person has complied and came to my appointment, I'm going to alert their employer that they came to that first appointment. And in this evaluation, it would indicate what my recommendation would be. And I'm telling you, these are some steps I had to do before I even get anybody in front of me, behind the scene, that I've been working on since January of 2025. Another document that I had to create is when I evaluate them, I give them a deadline to comply to that evaluation, where it's a certain amount of groups they have to do, substance abuse groups, etc. And I give them a deadline to get that done. And I give them an appointment for my follow-up appointment, and I verify that they complied with my recommendation. And I'm not just going to take their word. They're going to bring supporting documentations. I'm going to contact that provider. I'm going to cross-check. And so when they've done all that they needed to do, I'm going to submit another powerful report, which is my follow-up compliance report. And this compliance report will go to their employer. And bottom line, it'll state that now the person is eligible to return back to the safety sensitive position. I'm going to alert the federal database that the person complied to that recommendation. This compliance report is the green light that they're going to need to say that they're now eligible to return back to the safety sensitive position. And they're going to also, I'm going to recommend that they pass a return to duty drug screen. I'm going to also recommend that they be tested a certain amount of times for 12 months in the future minimum. So this document is powerful. This is what that employee who has violated a DOT drug and alcohol regulation, this is the type of report that they're going to need to qualify to take a return to duty test. And that return to duty test must be negative. So once I've done that, that document, I had to get all my master copies ready in all versions. I also developed a, one of the things I have to do is I have to do a follow-up testing plan, submit this to the employer. This follow-up testing plan is going to outline that the SAP is recommending for this person to have follow-up testing for a minimum of the next 12 months of their life. And those follow-up exams, drug alcohol tests must be negative. So this is another document that I submit to the employer. The employee does not see this. They're not going to know what I'm going to recommend in terms of the amount of follow-up drug screens and alcohol tests. And this is also submitted only to the employer. Another document that I have for my master file, this was a lot of work, people. And I failed a lot, use a lot of the skills I already had in the 10 years of doing this prior to restarting these services again. Another document, and I've done many of these type, a person can choose to comply or not, but if they choose not to comply, then they will be ineligible to ever return back to the safety sensitive position. Their job, and let me clarify this, nowhere in the country, because DOT is federal. So what I would do if a person decides to not comply to the initial recommendation, I would do a non-compliance letter. And I would submit this to the employer. And in this non-compliance letter, it pretty much states that the employee is in violation of a DOT guideline and they are not eligible to return back to the safety sensitive function. And once that employer gets this, then they're not going to be able to get their job back. Rather, it's conducting a train or driving a 18-wheeler or flying a plane, any type of position that falls under the safety sensitive position. If they earn this non-compliance letter, then that employer is going to know that that person met with the DOT qualified substance abuse professional, but they selected to not comply to the recommendation. So that's another document that's in my master file. Another document in my master file that I had to create is a SAP DOT treatment plan. By the time that client gets in front of me and I assess them, they're going to walk away knowing exactly what they have to do. You know, exactly what provider I'm going to refer them to get those substance abuse groups done. They're going to know exactly when their follow-up appointment is with me. They're going to know exactly what paperwork I'm going to need. They're going to know that I'm going to contact that provider. It's going to be all laid out. No ifs, ands, and buts. So they get a copy of their plan with specific deadlines in terms of what they're going to do. Another powerful document that I had to develop to put a part in my master treatment plan in PDF and Word document is in the event that the person selects that they may have a private doctor who may need to see copies of my recommendation, I have them sign a release of information for that private doctor. But however, under the DOT federal guidelines, because safety sensitive is our first priority, you know, when I'm communicating with the medical review officer, when I'm communicating with the employer, when I'm communicating with the treatment provider under the DOT federal guidelines, No release is needed because the traveling public is my client. And I clearly put that in my informed consent. And that falls under those powerful laws in regards to this type of work as a DOT substance abuse professional. But however, if they want the private doctor to have information on my recommendation, because the private doctor is not one of the stakeholders who provide the DOT services, then I will have to have them sign a consent or release information to the private doctor. I've been doing this, like I said, I've done this work in the past for well over 10 years. By the time they have failed that drug screen, have been removed from the safety sensitive position, they're no longer getting a paycheck. At that point, they're ready to comply. They ain't interested in their private doctor because the private doctor can't do nothing to save them. No, they have to follow the guidelines and the steps in the process under the CFR 49 DOT regulation to return back to work. So all of these documents had to be created, pulled together. It took me a lot of work to do this, which ties into my strategic business plan in terms of one of my objectives that I had to do, set up files. So that was done March 16th. I also, since I'm restarting these services, I have on my strategic business plan to get specific business cards that reflect the SAP DOT return to duty process. That goal was completed on the specific business cards February the 20th, 2025. So when I'm in front of clients and marketing my services, they're going to get a copy of this business card specifically for the SAP DOT return to duty process. So all of the money I spent to get these business cards specifically for this will be a 100% write-off. Another goal objective that I had to do that ties into the goal on the far left was to update my business website. And my business work to reflect that I'm doing these services again. I completed that goal March 18th, 2025. And I'm gonna literally go to my business website, and I encourage anyone to check this out. And I went into a contractual agreement with my business webpage designer, Jason Shelton. He did a phenomenal job on updating my business website. If you go to my business website, I'm literally looking at it right now. There's a tab, 1, 2, 3. The fourth tab says SAP DOT, Substance Abuse Professional /DOT. And if you click that, it'll literally bring up the SAP DOT return to duty services provided. Employers who are in those type of jobs who when they see this, they're going to know what I'm talking about. Employees, when they're referred to me, when they go to my business website, they need to see that I'm qualified to do this. So if you click 1, 2, 3, 4, that fourth tab, it'll say SAP DOT return to duty services provided, my name, credential, telephone number, email address. And as a DOT qualified substance abuse professional, I evaluate employees who have violated a DOT drug and alcohol regulation, make recommendations concerning education, treatment, follow-up testing, and aftercare. In order to become a SAP, the SAP must have certain credentials, possess specific knowledge, receive training, and achieve a passing score on the examination. All requirements must be met before the SAP can perform any SAP functions. Bottom line. So, and there's also continuing education requirements. Every 3 years, I have to have CEUs specifically to this to requalify my credential to do this as a substance abuse professional providing services to individuals who perform safety sensitive positions. As a substance abuse professional, I also use the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration commercial driver's license, drug and alcohol clearinghouse database. That clearinghouse database is information I have to submit in that database that the federal DOT would be able to see what I'm submitting in that database. So for example, when that employee has complied to those recommendations, they're now eligible for their return to duty drug test. I'm going to enter the date that they became in compliance. And employers anywhere in the world, they're going to need to see what I'm entering in that database. So I'm registered with the database, and this is a requirement by 49 CFR Part 40. So this is a federal requirement that I must do prior to after I've seen the individuals and they're now in compliance. I'm going to report specific information about a CDL driver's return to duty activities. You know, I'm only going to focus on referrals from the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, those truck drivers, because all of those other DOT industries, you know, you're getting to more and more particulars in terms of the level of your knowledge. So I'm going to just keep it simple. The database provides real-time information about a CDL driver drug and alcohol program violations, making it difficult for drivers to conceal these violations for current or prospective employers. So I'm indicating this under that tab under the DOT return to duty process. The clearinghouse rules does not change any existing SAP responsibilities or functions required under the regulations. So there's still many other things I got to do other than enter stuff into the database, a whole lot that I have to do. You know, as a SAP, I must, per Part 40 DOT regulations, register with the clearinghouse, and that clearinghouse database is going to open up the floodgates for Marie Holiday to receive referrals from anyone in the state of Georgia. Also in that database, I report the date of the driver's initial assessment. I'm going to report the date I determine the driver is eligible to return to return to duty testing in the clearinghouse. As a DOT qualified SAP, I conduct all my appointments face-to-face. I'm in person. I don't do any walk-ins. I don't do any virtual. There's so much legal stuff behind this. You're behind getting in front of me so I can verify your identity, know what employer referred you to me, and etc. So all of that is on tab 4, and I clearly got in here, I do not accept walk-ins in any shape, form, or fashion. Also in this area that is in PDF version, SAP DOT forms and download. I have that contract where they can download it, see it in PDF, print it out so they can be aware of the services I'm going to provide, the cost of the services, and the expectations of what they got to do, all indicated when you click that tab 4 on my business website. Also, I got on here the SAP DOT return to duty service. I got a flyer in PDF form. So employers can look at that flyer, the employees can look at that flyer. So my business web designer, Jason Shelton, did a phenomenal job in adding this piece under my business website. So I got on my strategic business plan, update business website. That goal was completed March 18, 2025. I'm gonna tell anyone, when you have a goal on the far right and on the far left, and on the far right of that strategic business plan, you got to write down the target date, and then you got to write down the date that the goal was achieved. That's how you measure your progress. Because I put down complete qualification training. I put the target date, February 20th, to have that training and exam done. And the date that I actually passed that exam was February the 15th, 2025. I put down the target date to have my file set up was February 20th, 2025, but I actually completed setting up my files March 16, 2025. That is how you measure your progress on any strategic business plan. A goal should have a deadline. You should put the projected date that you want to put completed. Then when you actually complete the goal, you go in on your strategic business plan and write down the date that the goal was achieved. And you move on to the next goal. So I put down the projected date to have my business website updated was March 25th, but the date that the business website was actually updated was March 18, 2025. It's done. I'm going to move on to the next goal. But understand, world, I have been behind the scene since January of 2025, getting this one piece of a service I'm going to begin to start again under my company to generate more revenue. And I tell anybody, it ain't all about just YouTube. No, you should have other goals outside of YouTube to cultivate and to develop and to increase multiple streams of income. Real talk, people. Real talk. And also on this strategic business, specifically for DOT services, I ain't done yet. I put another objective that I must do is to attain professional liability insurance to protect my stuff, to protect my credentials, to be rubbers, even when I did this service in the past for this specific service, because it's so legally driven and heavily regulated. So I got to attain professional liability insurance that'll cover up to $3 million, people, to have that professional liability insurance in place by February 1st, 2025. And the date that was achieved was, to have that professional liability insurance in place by April 1st, 2025. And that goal has already been achieved. I got that professional liability insurance March 18th, 2025. So that goal has been achieved because I'm not going to have nobody in front of me or these employers sending me folks without my professional liability insurance in place. Another goal I have on here, and let me add this. Another goal that I have on here is because, by my name being in the federal database, the national database, that's powerful marketing. Employers pulling this up, they're looking at it. That's how people who do this type of work, we get a lot of referrals. But to be honest with you, because I'm finishing out a contract that I'm working on now in terms of utilizing my addiction credentials, that contract I'm over with in about 4 months. So which I'm kind of looking forward to that ending. But in the meantime, I'm literally only going to take a maximum of one DOT case a month until I get this other contract out of my way. But if I get, as I'm getting these referrals, I just mainly tell these stakeholders I'm at full capacity because I control this. I ain't got to accept every referral that I get. But if I end up getting more than one referral, which I'm already getting them, I'm basically going to tell that stakeholder, tell that employer, or tell that employee, I'm at full capacity. You might want to go to the database and select a different person. And I'm going to do that for the next 5 months until I get rid of this other contract that I'm working on right now. But another goal I have on here too is, and I've done this in the past, to submit 2 SAP affiliate contracts. There are like networks who contract with people like me to provide these services. So those referrals come from the network. So I'm going to have those contracts conferred by April the 30th. And the only reason why I'm going to wait until April the 30th really to kind of entertain that, because once I get those 2 contracts with these powerful networks, I'm going to literally let them know that I'm only available 1 day a week to take your referrals. Because again, my goal is to keep those referrals extremely low until I finish out this other contract that I'm working on. So that is also on my strategic business plan. Also on my strategic business plan is one of the things I'm going to do, and I'm going to take my time in doing this, even though my name are in those databases, and I'm going to get referrals that way. I'm going to deliberately market my SAP DOT services to 10 major trucking companies in my area, and I want to at least have that done by April 30th, 2025. And once I do that, if those employers can send me referrals directly, but what'll happen is if they send me too many referrals, I will basically tell them I'm at full capacity, and you may want to utilize someone else who's qualified to do this. One goal I have on my strategic business plan is, because I'm still tying in loose ends behind the scene, and I really want this other contract out of the way that I'm doing right now, which I'm providing addiction services, to accept my first client owner after May 1st, maybe just one. And maybe do one a month until I get this other contract out of the way. So even if I get referrals before May 1st, I'm going to basically tell them I'm just at full capacity, use another professional who's qualified to do this. Because the beauty of when you are owning your own company, the beauty of this is you don't have to accept every referral. You don't. You can say I'm at full capacity. You might want to go to that database and go somewhere else. My goal is to maintain my balance. I can accept or decline whatever amount of referrals I want to accept, decline. Bottom line. Because I believe in my downtime. I believe in my balance. I can be traveling abroad out of the country on a vacation, which I'm getting ready to plan my next trip abroad. This will be my third time going abroad. So you got no different from any other, if you're working a W-2 job, you have downtime, you have off time, you have vacation time. No different from when you run your own business is you got to have your downtime, your vacation time, and you got to have a cutoff, and you got to have boundaries. And some of those boundaries are, I do not accept walk-ins. Some of those boundaries are, I do have a cutoff. And some of those boundaries is you got to be referred to me by your employer. You ain't just walking up to me. Those are boundaries. And some of those boundaries are, I know for right now, for the next few months, I'm only going to accept one client a month. Those are my boundaries. So because I'm not the only one who can do this, they can go to that database and go to somebody else who can provide these services. One of the goals I had to achieve, and I already touched bases on this, is once I passed that examination and became eligible to provide these services and presented my other credentials, I had to register with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, commercial driver's license, drug and alcohol clearinghouse. That's a federal database. So I had to register to get into that database, and I did that March 1st of 2025. So now any employer, any trucking company, they can go to that database and see that I'm doing these services in the state of Georgia, and that they can refer their employees who have violated an alcohol or drug test to me to get back into compliance. So I've done that. Another goal I had to achieve was to be included in the National Association Drug Abuse Counselor Public SAP Directory, which is a national database. There's a national database I'm in, and there's a federal database I'm in, indicating to the world that I'm qualified to do this. So that's another pathway I can get referrals to the national database, this national SAP database, and in the DOT database. So I'm in two powerful databases, and I had that goal achieved March 6, 2025. So with those powerful databases, employers when they have an employee who is out of compliance, say if that employee lives in Georgia, they're going to go to that database and they're going to pull up all of the qualifying people in the state of Georgia who can do this, so they can refer their employer to that qualified substance abuse professional. But just because you refer, that don't mean I'm going to accept the referral. Number one, I could be at full capacity, I can be on vacation, or I have already been at my cutoff. So when I'm already getting referrals. So when I get these referrals, I know that right now I'm going to tell them, no, use somebody else who's in the database, because I'm at full capacity, at this time. Now, if you want to wait when I'm no longer under full capacity, then that's up to you. That's up to that employee. But 100% of the time, because that employee is not going to want to wait, because number one, they've already been removed from their job. They're not making money. Their focus is, I got to get back into compliance so I can make my money and pay my bills and sustain myself. So 100% of the time, they're not going to wait. They're going to thank me for letting them know that, and they're going to go to somebody else next on the list. And there's nothing wrong with that. So again, bottom line, for every goal that you put on your strategic business plan, you got to have identified objectives, measurable steps, things you must do to achieve the goal. And if I don't even know how many measurable objectives, it's quite a big. I had for one goal. I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 measurable objectives in the middle of my strategic business plan that directly link to one goal, people. And a lot of damn work behind the scenes. And on the right side of my business plan, each of those measurable objectives, when that objective was achieved, I wrote down the date that the goal was achieved. That is how you measure your progress. This is real talk. Basic Business 101. You know, my strategic business plan, and I have other goals, and you notice this here ain't got nothing to do with YouTube. No, this goal here, for real, because my goal, because I've been in full retirement since September of 2023, my goal from a financial standpoint is to have my revenue under my company, under Paris and Associates, to far exceed all of my retirement checks, all of them, bottom line. And by grace and glory of God, by the grace and glory to God, since September 2023, when I fully retired from state government, I have not touched, I get a pension check every single month. I have not touched my pension money in well over a year since I've been retired. I have been reinvesting that money because I'm generating other monies from my company. I ain't even talking about no YouTube check. No, I'm talking about Paris and Associates. Here we go. I'm talking about my revenue, my company, people. I've been providing my company, the birth of my company, Paris and Associates, is 21 years strong. I've always had my company simultaneously all throughout my working history, all the way since I retired, and all the way up until I retired. So now I'm in the position to continue to cultivate and to develop and to nurture Paris and Associates. And whatever financial goal I want to meet as a businesswoman for my company, I'm going to write it down. This is real talk, because I want to continue to not have to ever touch my retirement money and live off whatever money I make under my company, whatever little money I make off YouTube. That's just more icing on the cake. But my focus role is to continue to develop and to cultivate and to nurture Paris and Associates Resource Center. I wrote my book title, Awake Financial Freedom, under my company. I went through 2 world-renowned publishing companies to transform my manuscript into a finished work. Page Publishing Company did my soft copy of my book, my ebook version of my book, my Kindle book. This book hit all major bookstores way back in 2002 under Page Publishing Company. So for the rest of my life, I'm gonna get royalty checks from Page Publishing Company. My book went through a second world-renowned publishing company, Audiobook Network, and hit all and became available in audio version October of 2024, audio version. So, and I get royalty checks from that. None of this None of what I'm doing under my company, people, has nothing to do with YouTube. And when I created my YouTube channel 4 years ago, I added being a content creator under my company that has already been in existence for 21 plus years, people. So rather not I decide to continue to be a content creator or not, that's my decision, that's fine. But that's not going to stop my revenue under my company, Patterson Associates Resource Center. I tell content creators, use this platform to market your other product, services, and brand. Don't just be YouTube focused, because the knowledge I'm spitting out right now in terms of how to develop a strategic business plan, how to develop a strategic business goal, people pay me for these services. That's one of the primary services I do under Patterson Associates Resource Center. But now I would be safe to say that professional business coaching is no longer primary, because I'm revamping my strategic business plan. My SAP DOT services, people, is primary. That's where I can get the biggest bang for my bucks right there. Bottom line, maximize my time, increase my profit. What I'm spitting out right now, people, I've been doing for 21 plus years. The knowledge I'm spitting out right now, people, and I'm at full capacity with the professional business coach. My cutoff is 5 clients. I don't go beyond 5. I deliberately keep it low so I can maintain my balance. But people pay the experts to do this. And by the time they get in front of me and pay for those 4 paid coaching sessions, at the end of that 4th paid coaching session, I have in Word document a powerful strategic business plan applicable and specifically for that person in Word document. Real talk, people. And this is where I want you to embrace the fact that you got to shift your mindset and utilize these platforms. Also, it's okay to get monetized. That's fine. You can get it monetized all you want to. But let's now shift your mindset and use these platforms for free marketing to market your other product, service, and brand as a content creator. Real talk. And another primary focus you should also want to do as a content creator, to impart knowledge onto the world. Educational, thought-provoking, useful, real-life information to the world, because you're leaving your legacy. My YouTube channel will outlive me. My book will outlive me. It will outlive me. So you want to leave your legacy. People 100 years in the future will be able to pull up my YouTube channel and watch any one of my thought-provoking lectures. People 100 years in the future will be able to read my book title, Awake Financial Freedom, people. This is a powerful testimony in relation to how God gave me the skills to rise above my financial destruction from 2007 to 2012. And he gave me the skills to master my money, to control my money, to write this book, a winning manuscript. Wrap your mind around this. My book was accepted by 2 world-renowned publishing companies. I never wrote a book. My manuscript was accepted by 2 world-renowned publishing companies. This book will outlive me. I wrote my book under my company. So I say that to say it's time. It's time as a businessman or businesswoman to elevate your product, service, and brand to the next level, to set a financial goal. Rather, that financial goal is to have your financial revenue under your company to exceed your monthly income, rather you retired or rather you're still working. That's a goal right there, the real talk. And because we all have knowledge, skills, and ability given to us by God. And at a certain point, we have to take our knowledge, skills, and ability and transform it into a product or service or brand. I didn't get to this level overnight, because if you listen to what I was saying, I've always had my company, Patterson Associates Resource Center, simultaneously working in the workforce. 21 years as an addiction expert. I worked in corporate America. I'm a veteran. I served in Desert Storm. I have an honorable discharge from the United States Marine Corps. So I've always had mindset. No matter what job I had, whether I was working with state government or corporate America or the United States Marine Corps, I've always developed and cultivate, enhance, and nurture my skills outside of that day job. Real talk. And I've done it all my life. So this now, people, is what a successful business goal should look like. It should be indicated on a strategic business plan. You should be looking at that business plan. You should be revising that business plan. You should be updating that business plan on a daily basis. My strategic business plan is well over 30 plus 1 pages long. I have various goals on my strategic business plan. I'm currently working on another goal right now, simultaneously, while I'm nurturing this goal. Real talk. It does not end for me. I have been goal-driven and internally driven since the age of 5. I've been writing down goals since I've been 5 years old, people. This is within me. It's like second nature. And that's why I have no problem in sharing this knowledge to the world. Real talk. So again, share this information. It's time for 2025 to take your product, service, and brand to a whole nother stratosphere, people. And it all begins with that strategic business plan. Check out my business website. I encourage you to do that. Check out, I believe, tab number, let me see. On my business website, Jason got SAP DOT services. That's 1, 2, 3, tab number 4. He did a phenomenal job in developing my business website. He does a phenomenal job in updating my business website. Every time Jason Shelton update my business website, we go into an executed contract, make sure he's paid for those services. He did a phenomenal job. And again, I'm just really looking forward to, like I said, I got a contract, a current addiction contract now. I got about 5 months before I'm done with that contract. And then I know in my mind, because I believe in delivering quality service, once I get rid of that contract, then I'm going to take DOT clients maybe 1 a month. But once I get rid of this other contract that I need to finish out on, then I will, high probability, I'll take a little bit more than 1 a month. But other than that, that's all I have. Share this information. The Spirit guided me in regards to presenting the behind the scene work in terms of this new goal that I've added under my strategic business plan. So that's all I have. Simplify, simple fidelis, and I'm going to leave you in the care of your own conscience. Have a great day.